I would love to know your thoughts, since you have worked with so many people from so many different walks of life. Like, what do you think is going on right now? And I want you to speak to the that is going on energetically with people and in their brains, so we can like get them out of their own damn way.
So first I want to say, I am not above going through the human experience because I have had multiple business things go well. I also have mentee bees. I also have the full human experience. And just because a business takes off doesn't mean it doesn't have dips. It doesn't mean you don't question where you're going. It doesn't mean you don't have losses. Like, guys, we're in Earth School. We signed up for the whole thing and you get to go through all of it. And I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how healed you are. Ease is a state, not a destination.
I built my first business by doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. Pushed harder, worked longer, sacrificed myself for the results, for the success, said yes to every opportunity that came my way, cut everything out of my life, focused and zoned in on growing this business. And this was going to be my thing. And I wore burnout like a badge of honor. And while the outside did look successful, the inside nearly broke me, like literally. It almost cost me my life. So I was forced into rebuilding that first business. Like, I had to burn it down to the ground, I would say by 90%, in order to heal from all of the health conditions that literally had me taking a shower, sitting down. Like, I couldn't even go to the grocery store myself. That's the level of burnout and destruction I did to my hormonal system, my adrenal system. And I had to figure out a way in order to be able to operate that business and be able to pay my bills, because I have no backup plan. Okay. Contrary to popular belief of what a lot of people think when they see me online, they see me on stage, they listen to the podcast, if they're not super familiar with me, they think I've got a kick-ass alimony check coming in, I've got a rich partner, or that I've got like some kind of like help from somewhere to have done all this. No, it's called the Bank of Tiffany. And that's my backup plan, along with credit cards, which is what I used to start my first business. So I knew that I had to figure out a way, because this way clearly didn't work. And I didn't know if it was possible to be able to have true wealth, true freedom to make serious coin while working less, making more, and honoring my well-being first. I had no examples of seeing other people do it. Well, none that I could think of, because my brain was so fixated on the programming that I had, that you've got to grind and work yourself to the bone. But I was left with no choice. And I said, you know what? I'm going to experiment with this. I don't really have any other option. I'm going to give it a year. I'm going to operate really lean over here, make sure I can like pay all my bills and pay people that work for me. But other than that, keep it really lean. And I owe it to myself to see if it works, but I wasn't sure. But I promised myself that if it did, I would teach it to millions and millions of people. And obviously it did work. I made more than I'd ever made, working less than I'd ever made, had more fun, and had more options in my life. And then created a second business, which is ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and business coaching academy, using the same model as the first business that I had to reorganize and rebuild, which is an agency model where I'm working business to business. My point in sharing those details is this doesn't just work because this is an online business with a podcast and content and all the things. No, it also works for my B2B business that is not based on content. It's a traditional kind of old school model business. And I've since coached over 150,000 people to do the same thing. So in today's episode, I've brought on Elizabeth Faye, who I can 100% vouch for. She is the founder of the Vitality Project and Hair Love University. She is a top tier coach, leader, speaker in the beauty industry. I'm talking very well known, where hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people pay to see her talk. And this is a powerful conversation about what happens when you choose to no longer abandon yourself for success. We're exploring what it really looks like to lead with your intuition, honor your nervous system, and build something sustainable that actually feels good, but also, makes a lot of money. This is for the person who's done the white knuckling your way to results. and you no longer want to do that plan. This is for the person who wants to build a business without losing yourself in the process. Let's go there. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is going to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. This is long overdue, Elizabeth Faye, to have you on. I feel like I know you. So we have a very close mutual friend. Shout out Regina Lawrence. And like, I always want to know when we're talking about something. I'm like, well, what does Elizabeth have to say about this?
I was telling her I do the same. I'm like, how are you doing, Regina? How's Tiffany? To be clear, we have never had a phone call together, me and Tiffany, for everyone listening. Like, you're hearing our first true conversation, even though I know all about you, all your details, all your wins, your hard days, your good days, your bad days. I follow you online. I feel like I already love you. I check in on you through her. So
It's so amazing, like the power of being in this day and age. And when you're someone who shows up online and offline, like truly as you are, and there's no mass or anything like that, you can end up having that feeling with someone and build that trust and that intimacy and that relationship without ever having even spoken on the phone or meeting somebody. Don't you think it's a testament to that?
oh, for sure. I feel like that with many people who don't know that they're in my life, and I feel so connected to them. And I think that that can be a real superpower. I even feel like that with clients that like I'll meet them in person after years and I'm like, wait, I have totally had dinner with you before. Have we not? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what? Like, it's just like, I feel like I know their family, I know their kids, I know their life because it's just through Zoom or the internet or Instagram. And you just feel so connected.
Have you always from the beginning, because you've been like in the game, as I call it, in various ways of having like being the face of your brands, of your companies, and you've been doing this for how long?
So I launched my first digital situation in 2012, but it didn't really start becoming anything other than a dream I was attempting to do until 2014. So 2011, I started putting stuff out, Etsy account, Facebook, doing the thing. 2012, I got on Instagram. I launched a course that didn't go well. I was selling it on a USB. Like we didn't have Kajabi.
Stop it.
I was going to women's conferences with a box I put together, a tissue paper, with a flyer I printed at the printer shop, with my USB on how to do your own hair. And it didn't go great, but I really, really tried and I made it and we edited on iMovie and all the things. So I've been doing it for a minute.
So you're an OG. I mean, first of all, I want to like acknowledge that and thank you because I would never have come in this space if it wasn't for you guys. I am a scaredy cat. I can operate really conservatively, like to a fault. I need to see like on a path, right? Like I need to see what are the potholes. Like I know nothing's perfect. So I need to see what's up and I study it. It's very Virgo of me.
I
I
love
like, right? I need to study this. I need to see if it's bullshit. I need to see receipts. So thank God that you did that. That's incredible. And what have you noticed like from early on, like pre-Instagram? That's so wild.
Yeah.
What has changed? Like what were the different eras of having a brand where you're the face of it, like a personal brand, so to speak?
Yeah, I think for me, a superpower in starting when I did, and by the way, my past first career and love is hairdressing. So I'm a hairdresser at heart, turned trauma-informed coach, retreat, thought leader, all the things. But I started as a hairdresser. And when I did this work, it was like a side hustle to hairdressing. And so I think for me, it started in person. And like that's when I got into events and gatherings and connecting with people. So for me, I just translated that to online and that understanding made sense in my brain of like, how do we take what works in real life? And now we can do it with someone who lives in New York and I live in Utah and they live in Europe and I live in America. And so like, I think that we've lost a little bit over time. Like people like, there's a little bit of a disconnect because we kind of think digital first before we think human. And I think sometimes we forget that the human is who's on the other side of the screen, whether you're hating or canceling someone, or whether you're buying from someone, or whether someone's buying from you and they're in your program or your service, your product, your community, your whatever you do, your event. So I think that's translated differently over time. Like we have more connection, but less connection in some ways. I think not that everyone has that, but I think collectively that's shifted. I think it's also gotten easier than ever. Like, oh my gosh, guys, like we have ChatGPT, we have Kajabi. You don't need a USB. Like I'm so excited with every new software update because I feel like, oh my God, I can like do this even easier and my team can do it easier. So I think you can hire help easier, whether it's a software,
And
a
cheaper.
PA, cheaper, someone across the world, a mom at home, an expert. You can borrow people's expertise by listening to like Tiffany's podcast. Like you have so much at your fingertips that it's easier than ever. I think with that comes some overwhelm of where to go and where to start. So I think there's a good and a bad to it, but if you can cut through the noise, pick a few people to really listen to and not get distracted, I think it's easier. I think there's also the hard part, in the beginning, no one else was doing it. So I'll say two things. I've always done things before no one else was doing it, which has a hard part. Like one of my new
Well,
companies.
tell us about that because I'm not that person.
Yeah. So I'm the one who fell in the pothole and got bruised, broke her leg, crawled her ass out, and then fell in the next pothole, and then filled the potholes for the people behind her and said, "Hey, come, it's not so hard anymore. I'll give you my shovel or I'll give you dirt to fill the pothole." But that's in my chart. Like I'm a Gemini sun. I have a lot of Capricorn in my chart, and I'm also like Libra. So like I'm balanced. I'm about justice. I'm also about innovation.
What's your human design?
I'm a 4/6 projector. So I'm a visionary and I see future forward and big picture. And 4/6s, we're meant to be teachers, and sixes are role models. So they get into their legacy work after their second Saturn return, but they fuck shit up the first whole 30 up to their first Saturn return.
This is so interesting. I'm also a projector, but I don't know like the numbers that go with it. And so I relate to some of that, but the part where you are going, you know what, like, fuck it. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing something different. We're going to get into like this really cool thing she's done with her book that's coming out. So Show Me How Easy It is the name of it. And literally that's music to my ears because I'm all about easy, like working less and making more. And one of my strategies is don't reinvent the wheel unless it's something you're passionate about. Like you're coming up with a new concept or a new thing. Like I get excited about that. But in terms of like marketing and business and putting things out there, like if something's already proven, why are you going to do another way if you don't have to, unless it delights you?
100%. I think, a lot of my business work, and I'll say this, I'm not a human design reader and I'm not an astrologist. I am a life coach, a healer, an energetic coach. I mean, I have so much business experience. I end up doing a lot of business coaching, but through a very like healer, woo-woo spiritual lens, I always look at my clients' charts, human designs, and astrology because they have coding in their shadow, in their karma, in all of these things where no one, like all projectors don't walk the same. Like you and I have different destinies, different karma, different things. Even a lot of my chart is like new earth. I'm here to like build new earth, move things forward, paradigm shift. And you probably are too, but in different ways. And so some people are also here to clean up a lot more karma, past life, heal trauma. We're all here to heal some trauma, but like some of us are here to do different jobs. So I like seeing and being informed by that data because I wouldn't suggest the same funnel system, the same strategy system, because their energetics are coded differently and their job and their service and what they're here to do. And of course, their audience and the logistical things. But I like being informed by the energetics. And I think
Taking a brief break to share this story with you. Have you ever looked at your business and thought, I know exactly what I want. I even kind of know what I need to do, but I can't seem to just make it happen? That is exactly where my client Sophie was at 3 months ago. A talented service provider with packages that, quite frankly, on paper, should have been selling like hotcakes. She has a background in it. She has a generous heart. She shows up and does all the things. but things were not selling. And after just 6 weeks inside my private business coaching program, applying my emotional based sales techniques to her messaging, her marketing emails, to her offers, her business completely transformed. I mean, she closed $27,000 in new business in a single week using my exact framework because we completely customized it to her unique voice, her brand, and her business. So here's the thing though, around my private coaching program, this is the final chance to apply before I close my applications, and I only accept 4 private clients at a time. So this is not some cookie cutter course where you're left to figure things out alone. You're getting more information. This is where we completely customize everything to your business, from how you get ideal clients coming to you regularly all throughout the night. So you're waking up to DMs, you're waking up to sales, you're waking up to requests, you're waking up to applications, and doing it in a way that feels good to you, authentic to you, and therefore it'll feel good to your ideal client. So if you're tired of things not working, if you're tired of kicking the can down the road, we're already halfway through 2025. If you want to course correct and make sure that you close out 2025 being your highest income year yet, where your business is booming and it feels smoother, it feels lighter, it feels fun again, this is your move. It's the highest level way to work with me. And like I said, this is your final chance to apply. So don't say I didn't warn you. You can swipe up and go to the application link inside the show notes here. It's also in the description here on YouTube, on ProjectME TV. And of course, if you need to, you can DM me on Instagram at ProjectMe with Tiffany.
If that works for you, do you know what I mean? Then that's part of your coding probably on a
I
level.
think that's important for people to hear. Like, it is not a one size fits all. Just because someone else does this in your industry, or 50 people do it, or 5,000 people do it, that doesn't mean that is the best way for you. How did you learn, over time, what is the best way that works for you?
Yeah. You know what taught me a lot was through my healing journey and a lot of breath work, a lot of medicine work, I learned how to meditate. And like meditation and breath work have become my most sacred practice daily. That really helped me tune into the intelligence inside my body of what that is, and like really building like a deep, trusting relationship, which my book, I talk a lot about this. And I had to heal a lot of trauma and my nervous system to even hear what my body was saying to me, other than like run, hide, fucking eat that, do this, go here, hide, mask, whatever. But like underneath all that, what is really on my heart, what is really in my womb, I'm a woman, whatever that is for you, of like what's alive for me, and trusting it and like taking risk when it looks different. Like multiple of my businesses I've built in ways that wouldn't be recommended, but like I just felt like I needed to do something in this way, or I've launched things differently, and I've just learned to trust it. Like I've literally learned to trust fall. I have coaches, I have mentors, I have guides. I ask, but like I always make sure my mentors will play with me with what's alive in my intuition and help bring that into the conversation of what we're putting together. And that's been my superpower. And it's something I really try to teach my clients, of like that deep inner knowing of what's alive for you. What do you feel about that? Here's lived experience. What would you do with it? What does that feel like in your nervous system? And like looking at your own, if you're into, personality test or human design or astrology, starting to inform yourself with those things to see how to experiment with it,
So give us an example. So I know some of this about you, but tell the people what you mean and what level of how I started this or how I built this would not be recommended. Because you have a lot of examples where it's like, it's pretty savage.
Yeah. Okay. USBs on a course. Nobody told me that was an idea, that was good, bad. I don't know anyone who ever sold a USB course. I'm sure they exist.
I mean, like, I think Tony Robbins had like cassette tapes at some
Totally. They
point.
had CDs, but like a fucking USB I bought at Walmart, like that's not cool. Like that was like, I didn't have cool CDs, or like a DVD. Like I wasn't at that level. I was like doing this in my townhome, like as a new mom. And so I think just like, what's available now, what resources do I have to actualize the thing on my heart, and being like, that's enough. And so I think that example, My first studio salon was disgusting. It literally smelled and it had purple stripes on the wall that I painted and chose. It had shelves that hung because like literally like I didn't know about studs and I didn't have, some man in my life to tell me about them to hang the shelves, but we just like went for it and like products slid off the wall and I built a clientele that way. I actually built a clientele off a Groupon and I gave people almost free hair for 150 people. Those were my clients for a decade. Like, so I think like that was not a strategy. I just did it. And like, my second salon I opened, all IKEA furniture, didn't measure anything. I used girl math with my hands. Everything ended up working out. I didn't even know you had to put furniture together. I thought it came installed. And then I traded with people and my dad helped, which he's an angel. Hair Love, which is one of my big brands. I run one of the largest communities in the professional beauty industry. It's called Hair Love and it's
I've heard about these events.
they're wild. They're wild.
I hear it's basically like a Burning Man, but for people in the hair industry.
Yeah, it's like a wellness retreat, had a baby with Burning Man, had an event with the hair show. No one said this was a good idea. Like, no one said you should do this, but I took the things that had changed my life the most, which was going in the mountains, hiking, yoga. My dad, he's like a medicine man, all of the things from my childhood and hair, which shifted my life as a high school dropout. A hairdresser mentored me and changed my life. And I said, what if we put it all together? Like so many different iterations. My mastermind, I made up my format of what I saw the last 10 years being the most effective. And I made a hybrid model. I launched my book in a weird way, which we'll talk about. I'm running a workplace wellness program for the beauty industry. It's called Vitality Project. And workplace wellness is not a thing for small businesses. That's a thing corporate companies bring in for employees to say, hey, we care about you. Please.
But it's a shim sham.
Yeah, it's a shim sham. I made an actual good workplace wellness program for beauty professionals that's now in 8 countries and in some of the largest franchise schools in the nation that actually educates people, gives them tools, engaged in their curriculum, teaching teachers. And we're not running it like anyone else is running an education company. We're not boots on the ground. We're not coming into schools. We're using AI, tech. We run lean. We run clean, just like I run my digital business. And I have people like, well, you should have a booth and be at every show and you should do this and that.
You're like, do you know how expensive that is? And I want to get into that. Like aside from how you're wired, it seems like you don't wait. That whole like I call it like messy makes money, right? Being perfect, you're going to be broke. It's like you don't sit there and go, I'm going to wait until I have more money. I'm going to wait till I have more clients. I'm going to wait until I, find someone who can build this for me proper, or until I can have, the salon in the best area and blah, 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 blah. Is that a natural thing for you? Or is there stuff that you have to work through mentally to get past the risk factor there?
That's a great question and a great reflection, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, humans, ambitious people, we do wait. I think the older and wiser you are, it's easier to wait and it's easier to put shit off and it's easier to be busy. So I will say twofold. I started my career at 16 years old and I was just too stupid to not know any better. So I will say there was a natural essence. I do a lot of feminine embodiment work with my female clients. And I teach them there's archetypes in the feminine. One of them is the maiden. And the maiden is very playful. She's young. She's Disney character energy. Maybe some of her wounded negative sides would be like she's a little naive. She's a little stupid. She could get manipulated, taken advantage of, because she doesn't know her innocence is like her beauty and also can be robbed from her. So I had a lot of maiden energy. And when you think of a business cycle, the maiden is the beginning of a new business. So maiden energy is like, what would be cool if, oh my gosh, this is incredible. You know what we should do? We could change the world. Like, oh, let's go for it. I'm like the Delulu energy that kickstarts the seedling to go from seed into seedling into plant, right? What allows it to mature is not actually maiden energy. That's where all these other energies have to come and play, like the mother, which is like the nurturing and the care and the soil and the sun and the gardening and tending to it, or the huntress who goes out and protects and finds and hustles and gets those things. So you have the queen, she's the CEO and she delegates and she's the visionary and the architect. Those energies are required to get your business from idea into fucking happening, right? Into actually being a company that scales, that leads. But the maiden is magical. And if we can harness the maiden in the beginning and utilize her what if possibility, not stupidity, but like sacred innocence, and like to me that's the channel of the divine, God, universe, source coming through, like this would be so cool. And it's like, all right, babe, live there, be there. And you'll need grit and resilience and strategy to get past that. But if you can use that to get pregnant with the idea, then that shit's coming out in 9 months, right? The baby's gonna come and be delivered.
Yeah, you
Like,
really
get it
sell
together.
yourself on it and really believe like this is without a doubt possible. This is happening.
Yes.
It gives you the motivation to kind of like push past the fear and do it anyway.
And you're going to figure it out. And then your baby's a newborn business, and it's right, and it's here, and you're figuring it out in real time, and there's fires, and someone quits and someone gets hired, and you think you're stupid and no one showed up to the webinar or the call or bought the product. But then there's one day and a client comes through and it works out. And welcome to being an entrepreneur. Welcome to motherhood. Welcome to welcome to the hood. Like, it's a hood in here. And that's real, and it's fucking amazing, and it's hard, and it's beautiful, and it's all of it. And I think the maiden energy I learned by looking back and saying, where did all my best things start from? They started from that source knowingness of like, this would be beautiful. This lives inside of me. And I feel like that's the hairdresser, the artist in me who wants to make art, and she just fucking makes art and she doesn't think about it. Then you're like, I got to get a gallery. I got to sell this. I got to monetize this, but I'm going to keep doing it. But ride that energy a little bit and trust yourself enough to get, like you said, messy, because if you can't get messy and play and make the art, it lives in your head. And I don't know about you, I'm not dying with dreams in my body. Like, get a life. I'm not doing that.
Because so many people, and especially right now, and there's something that is going on in 2025. I personally feel those of us who are awake are being primed for an insane timeline jump. And I can feel it in my nervous system. It's like going up on a roller coaster and it's clicking and it's clicking, and you like know the drop is coming and you know you're not going to die, but it's still like you're still like have that nervous, fearful excitement. That's literally how I feel in my body, and things are being cleared out. A lot of people are experiencing pain. There's also a lot of people that just listen to you and go, well, I get that. Like, you were able to do that at 16. You were able to do that like in your 20s. But like, I'm now 35 and I have 3 kids and a mortgage, or I'm 55 and like, I'm $30,000 in debt. Like, it's really hard to move from dream to doing when you've already tried a lot of things and you don't feel like you have that many tries left in you, maybe even literally financially with what's in your bank account, or even energetically. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a spot like this is what it's like when there's a meltdown behind the scenes here. Okay. I'm very dramatic about it. And then I usually start laughing. I quit regularly. I'd be like,
Yeah,
I can't fucking
me
do
too,
this. Fuck
actually.
this. I don't have this in me to do this again. And I'm just not doing it. Now,
Yeah,
for me, that's just venting and giving myself permission that I don't have to, because it lets like the air out of the balloon for me, you
100%.
know? But a lot of people, that's not just something they do to vent. They really stay in that spot. So I know I just like put a lot out there, but I would love to know your thoughts, since you have, worked with so many people from so many different walks of life and so many different countries. Like, what do you think is going on right now? And I want you to speak to the shit that is going on energetically with people and in their brains, so we can like get them out of their own damn way.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So, first, I want to say I am not above going through the human experience because I have had multiple business things go well. I also have mentee bees. I also have the full human experience. And just because a business takes off doesn't mean it doesn't have dips. It doesn't mean you don't get bored. It doesn't mean you don't question where you're going. It doesn't mean you don't have losses. Like, guys, we're in Earth School. We signed up for the whole thing, and you get to go through all of it. And I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how healed you are still here on Earth School along us fellow Earth Schoolians. And so I am not ever above any of that, nor are you or you. And I think that's really nice to know, because I think I used to think when someone, I used to do the when I get tos, the when I get tos. And I learned that, I say this in my book, ease is a state, not a destination. Ease is a state. That means it's an emotional state. It's a mental state. It's a nervous system state. It's not a destination. It means I just found out some really terrible news. My mother has colon cancer. I found out yesterday.
Is this for real?
Yeah, this is for real. This is 100% for real.
Oh my
Last
God.
My husband struggles with wanting to off himself. We've gone through some of the darkest initiations. I've saved that man's life before. Like, I've been a single mom. I've been a high school dropout. I have the most insane childhood story. You win, but I have a win, actually. I don't have the most insane childhood story. You do.
Well, it's not a contest, but like I see you and I
There was
acknowledge
one.
you.
Yeah. I have a crazy childhood. I lived with a bunch of different families. I was in different schools every year. Like, whatever. I have human experiences. So does the listener listening. And each of these, are teachers for us. So I say this as what shifted for me in these spaces was when I started seeing things as my teacher and when I could listen. And I learned to do that when I got really physically ill. So my burnout led to me getting really sick, autoimmune, not being able to get out of bed. And my business was all the great, wonderful things on paper. And I'm a mama, and he's now my husband, but he was my boyfriend at the time. And I had this home and this dog and this business and this community and all these wonderful things. And I was like, I'm too sick to even enjoy it or be present because I keep living for one day when I get here, then I'll experience this. And that's when I really, I did this experiment of show me how easy it is. And I spent 1 year, I wrote it all over my house, all over my walls, and I couldn't believe that life could be easy. I couldn't believe I had only known hard. I'd only known struggle. I'd only known sacrifice. And, I share this in my book. Maybe ease was meant for someone who didn't come from what I came from. Maybe that
someone who got like dealt a different card deck.
Yeah, they have a different card deck than me. That's not my card deck, but I'm still going to make it happen through force and all these other things and fighting. And sometimes are we done fighting? Like, are we done with it being hard? Are you done? Like, I remember one of my coaches being like, is the war over yet, girl? And I was like, I can't get out of the storm. And he's like, but what if it's like you literally step to the side? It's like the guy who went to war and grandpa's still talking about the war and he's 80 in a rocking chair eating cake that his wife made him, playing the game, and his grandkids are running around with poodles. The war's been over, but it's not for him. And that was me. And I thought, how long am I going to fight? How long is it a war? How long is it a struggle? And it didn't matter what I made in my bank account. It didn't matter the relationship. Like, I kept just fighting and climbing up the hill. And I learned it's a state and not a destination. And so I say this, the world's going through a lot the last 5 years. And we have to reclaim our power and our sovereignty. And when we give it away, we are at war with whatever you want to be at war with: money, the economy, politics, social media, AI, the president, I don't know, you name it, your boss, what you get paid, what you don't get paid, with your dreams. You're at war with yourself. You're at war with your health. You're at war in your marriage. Like, when we give our power away. And so and a healing journey is collecting all the places that I've left my power or I've forgotten myself, and one by one bringing them back, right? I left my power at 5 years old and gave it to my teacher. I left my power here, and this piece of me was robbed or taken or misabused or raped or hurt or yelled at. And I get to take that back now that I'm a grown up now. I'm a grown up now, and I'm a sovereign being, and I get to take all those pieces back. And so to me, 2025 is conscious 2020. We're going through it again. If you're awake and aware, that don't mean that you don't feel it. It means you're more aware and you see through, I'm going to use some woo-woo words, the matrix now. You see.
Oh, I say it all the time on here.
Yeah, okay. You see
it's actually, that's what's hard about it, is when you are that awake, empath, highly sensitive, intuitive, I like really see, it's like I'm awake on another level.
Yes. So I call it conscious 2020. The world's going through a new death and rebirth. And to me, it's that calibration to a new frequency that we're going to live in. And for those conscious, we're here to usher that in, to hold that in. Any parts of your body that are not in alignment with that frequency are going to feel friction, sickness, resistance. They're going to kick and scream because they need to recalibrate. They need to come up with that. And so that might look like trauma healing. That might look like old wounds coming up. That might look like anxiety, depression, emotional suffering. That might look like frustration. You feel lost. All your teacher an opportunity to really attune with what your highest self knows. If you're someone who is listening to this, which I'm imagining most of your people like personal development if they're listening, but maybe you're interested, but you've stayed very intellectual with it and you read a lot, you hear a lot, but you don't actually practice what you learn. You don't actually, you've never gone to breath work. You've never meditated before. You've never actually gone to talk therapy and talked about why your 5-year-old self is mad. You've never had those hard conversations. You never journaled that fucking thing that happened to you and why it's not okay and sobbed and then burned that piece of paper. Please do. Like the friction you feel is not going to go away, and you can mask it and you can cope in other ways, but it's going to build like a pot boiling up and the steam's going to come out. And we all know, we've all had breaking points. We've all had moments that bring us to our knees. They're not real cute. And I say this with love. We're old enough now to know a little bit better and to ask for a little bit more help and to soften a little bit more and to really take care of ourselves. And so I think if you're having a hard time, please take care of yourself. You know, if you are struggling, please go to the spaces where you can be soft. If you are lost, please go to prayer, meditation, breath work, your coaches, your mentors, your friends, so you can be found. And it's all an invitation and it's all a teacher. And so that's what I say is we're here. You signed up for this. It's an assignment. You got a soul contract to do something. And at the end of the day, when people they move, you said, how do I move from dream into doing? Because you listen long enough to know that it's actually more fucking important than your fear. Is what you feel called to do in the world more important than your fear? Then please do it. We need you. There's other people who need you to lead, whether that's your kid, your family, the life you dream of, your inner child, your community. And when we move from a place of purpose and soul, we're moving into service and you're here to do something. And that will get you through the hard fucking times because I know I'm here to do something important in the small things and in the big things. So I'm willing to go through and learn and soften where I need to learn so I can be of service.
What was your sticky resistance point around show me how easy it is? I think you and I are wired very similarly, which is why I think we already were energetically connected, even though we hadn't met for many reasons. And my whole thing was that I was taught both literally verbally and what I was shown at that time, and even in corporate, that in order to have success, in order to have the things you want to have in life, it's got to be a deep sacrifice, like it's got to be hard. And then the thing you point out is hard is so familiar. So when you were trying to step away and step aside from the storm, what were you having to wrestle with for you to end up getting, so to speak, into the light?
That's beautiful. We're all wrestle with the same thing. When we step away from what's familiar, what's known, even if it's, for lack of a better word, a fucked up thing, right? Or an unhealthy thing, or a trauma pattern, or just not of the highest good. It doesn't have to be that dramatic either. Just something that's like, okay, I like the word useful. It's no longer useful. It was a useful response when I was 5 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, 22 years old, and I needed to protect myself. So I fawned, fight, froze, whatever, placated, hid, ran. But as a 30, 40, 50-year-old woman, adult, like, is being quiet useful? Never saying no or yes useful? Is not speaking your truth useful? Not taking care of yourself useful? Is dating people who treat you like shit useful? Is, right, whatever that is, it's no longer a useful thing. And so for me, what I fought with, and I have found this in tens of thousands of other people, so maybe you'll relate if you're listening. I think you'll definitely relate, Tiffany. The collective programming around working hard is a very similar concept. And I know that this is actually worldwide because we have a wellness program that people came to me in Dubai, in South Africa, in Europe, in UK, all these countries saying, hey, we're also burned out. We're also going through this in these countries. Not gonna lie, I thought this was like an America thing. Like I was like, hey guys, we're kind of the worst. We eat like shit. We never stop working. The corporate America concept, how all the gurus taught us to work hard, whether you're an entrepreneur or work for someone else. Millennials know how to work harder. Baby boomers know how to work, right? Gen Z comes in and they're like, yo, work-life balance and all the pissed off.
Boundaries.
And I work with their bosses and they're like so angry about it. And I'm like, they're actually teaching you something. Their code could be useful here.
Exactly.
But point being, this is actually worldwide. I think America, we win a little bit. Like we know how to do it really good. We really know how to like hustle and not take care of ourselves. But this is in the workforce, something that lives worldwide. I think Europe, Mexico, some of these other countries have a lot more relaxation and flow than we do. But there's still people feeling the same way, at least in the industries they serve in. But
Isn't this conversation so enlightening? And I want to invite you to take action and not just leave this where you're feeling all the tingles and you're going, it gets to be easy now. I get to do this differently now, but you don't have the exact how. Inside my Project Me Posse business coaching membership, it is the only live group coaching membership in the world of this kind. We are doing something special right now that I've never done before, and it's a live course where every single week we meet live, and I am taking you from start to finish on creating your first profitable offer using my exact framework, my emotional based sales techniques. And you're doing this alongside other heart based entrepreneurs who are in the same mindset that you are in, where you have the support, but you have the tangible exact steps that I've broken it down to where it's not overwhelming and you don't end up in some like to do spiral off in a corner and then go off to never, never land and never, never do it. So, what exactly is happening in here? You are going to be able to identify your unique combination that no one can replicate. So, it makes it very clear to your ideal clients what makes you different in your industry. And it doesn't matter how saturated it is. I mean, listen to Elizabeth today. The most saturated industry I can think of is the beauty business. And she just continues to excel, excel, excel because of doing this. I'm going to show you how to transform your obvious knowledge into valuable intellectual property. You're going to be able to craft your messaging that highlights your authentic strengths, and you're going to be able to know how to build your offers that express your unique approach to solving problems. So it's crystal clear to your ideal client what they're getting in exchange for giving you their time, energy, and money. Because if you're not clear, they're not clear. And confused buyers don't buy. And it starts with you being clear. Because I know you're likely confused or you're not 100% sure on what to say. And that's number one reason why your offers aren't selling. And of course, we're going to cover how to price your work based on value, not insecurity, and the marketing tactics that are around pricing. And I don't mean like sleazy and manipulative, I'm talking about psychological marketing. So you can go and sign up at projectmewithtiffany.com/Project Me Posse. You can swipe up, access that link inside the show notes. It's also here on YouTube on Project Me TV in the description. Now, don't wait on this because this is a live group coaching membership. I keep this at an intimate size. So if you go to the page and it says it's full, you're not going to be able to get in there. That's how I ensure you're getting that group coaching experience where you feel seen and heard. And this is what the crazy part is. This all happens for under $3 a day. This is why nothing like this exists, because it's absolutely insane that I do it. I would run and do this. In fact, I would do our most popular option, which is our annual option. You get 2 months free. You get my Nail Your Niche Masterclass included, which people paid over $500 to attend that masterclass. Plus, you get my Instagram bio optimizer on how to optimize your bios for SEO. And you can also apply what I teach you there for other platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Basically, how to properly keyword stuff it in order for you to be matched with by the algorithm your ideal clients, like where it does it for you. And it's incredible. And I have examples in there of how to do it. There's live interaction where I'm coaching people through their niche statements so you can no longer be stuck in niche land. Okay. We're fixing all of this, but you have to make a move and take action. So both those options, the annual month-to-month option, are on the page, projectmewithtiffany.com/Project Me Posse. Look forward to seeing you inside the live course. So let's go make some money moves. All right, back to the episode.
I'm going to go back. So the sticky point for me was I didn't know anything else. And when we don't know anything else, your nervous system thinks you're going to die if you do something else because it's a proven, familiar survival tactic of this is how it is. So it's our paradigm. Our paradigm is created by church, school, parents, trauma, what happened in mom's womb. It's all the things that shape your reality of this is what's real, right, and true. So in my paradigm, I say no one can fly first class. No one can have help. No one can have a house cleaner. No one can work 20 hours a week and make as much as someone who works 80 hours or 40 hours a week. You cannot build a business unless there's blood, sweat, and tears. It has to be hard. There has to be sacrifice, or you can't have it. And let's like open it up past me and you. We've been taught this from gurus. This is not like something our parents just taught us. Like our parents were taught it, their bosses, the system to their workers. We were celebrated for it. No, no, no. Badges of honor for it.
Oh, I was celebrated constantly, which is why I became, I ended up as a workaholic because I
Exactly.
wore it as like a badge of honor. It was like the only area of my life I had self-esteem and I got rewarded for it. And people were like, I wish I was as disciplined as you.
Yes, you're so strong, you're so this, you're so that. So it amplifies it. It's like the person who people pleases and everyone says, you're so kind and you do so much and I appreciate you so much and you make me feel so good. Well, no shit, you keep doing it. It feels good to be loved and accepted and acknowledged. So then you have to dare to be brave enough to risk the acknowledgement, to risk the friendships, to risk all of that to lose it, to find yourself again. And that's why,
And risk the money. I have to add that
oh,
because
oh my God, the money.
money for me is rooted in safety and security. So it's like it's a real high.
It is for all of us, maybe all of us on different levels, but it's like how we provide for ourselves. It's how we also feel like we're contributing, we're making a difference. And I don't know about for you, but I'm pretty sure we're both the breadwinners of ourselves, right? We don't have,
Exactly. That's where that comes from for
yeah,
me. And so when I went to build this business, I couldn't because my body wouldn't let me. I couldn't build how I built my first one. I literally would be dead. And so I said, I'm only going to build it by building it where my priority is my well being. And it's got to be where I work less and make more. But I didn't know that existed, girl, because there weren't people like you. Thank God. You're like, girl, this is why I wrote the book. Thank God you have this book coming out. And we have the link in the show notes. You guys can swipe up or go to the description here on YouTube on ProjectME TV in order to get the pre sale of it. And you absolutely have to get, I think you're seeing that from this conversation and how needed it is. I don't remember in Barnes and Noble there being books on the shelf of, oh, there was like, I know Tim Ferriss came out with like, what was it, like the 4-day work
or
week? There were
yeah,
some corporate-y vibed things, but it didn't quite hit for me because there wasn't the spiritual element. And also, when you're so programmed that that's not possible, I thought it was a gimmick. I thought it was a bunch of shit. And then I said things like, well, that's nice if you're someone who has a rich husband. That's
yeah.
nice if you have a family you can go sleep on a couch on. I don't have that. And then I got to a point where I was like, you know what? This might not work. This actually might be a bunch of shit, but I at least need to try because I can't go about it the other way. But I didn't know that
I
it
did
was really possible.
I didn't know either. And I tell my women I work with, but this applies to everyone. But this is really important for the ladies listening because so I teach this with my about feminine leadership. Your hormones are not the same. As someone who does not have a womb, you do not have the same hormones. So I teach my women how to biohack, how their nervous system works, how their womb works. I teach them about their cycle and the spirituality with it and harnessing it in business. So I'm like their business, like, spiritual guru in that way where I'm like teaching these concepts so they can be the guru of the fucking selves. Because if they don't know how their coding works, they're walking up a river. And so they don't experience flow because they literally do not follow the flow of their natural rhythm. If you do not work as a woman who bleeds with your bleed and with your hormonal cycle, you are trying to function like someone who doesn't have hormones like you. And then you wonder why your hormones are out of whack and all of these things and your health and your energy and you're not optimizing your body. Well, no fucking shit. You're trying to function like someone who goes through all their hormone cycles in one day. And that would be someone who was born with a penis, if we're just being
I
really
mean, you guys, you know what I did? And straight up, I took consecutive birth control. Like I didn't take whatever they are, like the placebo pills. I did not want to bleed. And I'm telling you, a majority of my life, I did not get a period. I couldn't be bothered. That is how much I was in in the
Yeah.
system
Yep.
of that's inconvenient. So
I don't
therefore,
have
I
time
didn't have
for it.
PMS either. So
Yeah, you
I
don't have
didn't even
time
have
for it.
compassion for other women who were like, I need to rest. I can't work out. I was like, bitch, what's wrong with you? Like, I was so wired into if I want to have success, whatever that looked like for me, like financial impact, whatever. Basically, I morphed myself into a man.
That's what we've done. That is, and here's the deal. This isn't about gender. This isn't about sexual preference. This isn't about how you present. This isn't about any of that. These are energetics. If you have a womb, your hormones, they work cyclically. You have 4 different seasons every single month. No matter any of those other logistics, how you present or, all of that, that's beautiful and honor that. But I'm just talking from a hormonal, biological place. If you bleed every month, your hormones are not the same. So your energy levels are not the same. And so optimizing and understanding how to work with your own energy is not a weakness. And we have been ashamed of it, pushed it down. So it's like a whole thing. But it's just one example of like all of these concepts that are more body led, more heart led, they've literally been considered weak. Like softness was weakness, intuition was silly and woo woo. Flow was something that fairies do in the forest or children. Ease is something that who the fuck has ease? Like what do we need that for? Like it'll get easy once I whatever and I have the carrot dangling in front of me. I'm on a beach in the Maldives and I worked my ass off and I got the mansion and I got the house and I got the marriage. Then it'll be easy. No, you
No,
don't know
let
how.
me tell you, literally
No,
no,
it
because I
won't
have
be.
all that. So
I
literally
say
no.
you get all the things and you go, oh, I'm still me. My dad said this when I was little. Wherever you go, there you are. So you better learn to like being inside of your own body. Wherever you go, there you are. And so when I went on this experiment of show me how easy it is, I literally couldn't wrap my brain around the idea that something could be easy, the idea that there could be ease at all. And I started studying what is ease and what does it feel like? And it's so foreign and who is it for? So I had a friend of mine I love her to death, Kara Doyle, and she said, show me how easy it is your prayer to the universe. And I put it everywhere and I had the biggest experiment of my life. And I said, 1 year, I can go back to hustle. I can go back to hard. I can go back to grind. I know how to do it. I know how to do it and I know it works. It's a proven thing. I've even taught thousands of other people how to do it. They made a lot of money. I probably gave them all adrenal fatigue and they're probably on the same autoimmune highway I'm on. Forgive me, Lord. But anyway, and I'm going to try for 1 year just to be curious. So I'm not asking you to change your ways, to go to ayahuasca. I mean, do that too if you like, but I'm all about all that. But anyways, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to be curious and to invite yourself to slightly change your mindset that maybe ease is something that you could know, experience, or ask about. So when anything comes up, literally a team meeting, okay, guys, we're going to do a launch. All right, show me how easy it is. What is the most aligned way, the most fun way, the most easeful way, the most flowy way, the most connected way? And that is my prayer literally all the time. I'm mad at my husband. Show me how easy it is. Most of the time, it's like access your heart, say sorry. You love him. You love him. He can be really annoying and sometimes he does shit that drives you crazy, but you're triggered right now. Be soft with yourself. And that prayer, literally, it's on my phone. It's still in my life. I'm building a new business right now and it has tested me like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to live? Show me how easy it is. And it's been a really beautiful integration because I'll get opportunities where I'm like, okay, what I need to do is go to every conference, speak at every stage, every event, be here, be there, say yes to everything. And I literally have listened to my body in the deepest way I've ever listened and said no to things that don't always make sense. And doors for innovation and creativity and support have opened like floodgates because I even let it be possible that another way was available. And when we decide that we have to go on the hustle hard highway, we're not open. There's no map of anything else. That's the way we're going, hands on the wheel, white knuckling. And I invite you to roll down the windows, smell the fresh air, take a breath, and literally just experiment with it. And that experiment literally changed my entire perspective on life, my nervous system, the way I view the world, the way I lead. And it's not even always natural now. It's more of my natural state. But when I hit a new level, it still tests me. The old programming will come up and I get to teach, hey, at this new CEO level, or this new level of your marriage, or this new level of motherhood, or this new challenge, or your mom or your dad's going through this, or your family, or this old trauma comes up. I get to apply that medicine again and deeper integrate a lifetime of programming. And let's be honest, generations of programming of a whole other way of being. And so, yeah, it's
Have you had it happen, which I'm sure you have in practicing this, where let's use like a launch as an example. You're putting something out there because I think that's something everyone can relate to. And you do the whole show me how easy it is and all your practices and the things that you do. And then the outcome isn't as fruitful as you hoped for. It's not as abundant. And then you can go a couple ways with it. You could go, oh, see, this ease thing is bullshit. This doesn't work. So what's the way you go with it? Because most people would go to, I just put my heart and soul and money and energy into this and it didn't work and I did it the easy way. And so the easy way is shit. I got to go back to forcing and pushing and hustling.
So I'm going to counter you. Have you ever, as an entrepreneur or a human, put your heart and soul into something and worked your ass off and given it everything and you really tried and it also didn't work?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had courses not sell. I've had new businesses not boom overnight, but in a few months. So, it's the energy you build it in is the energy that will be required to maintain it in. So I'm going to say this. If I hire an employee and for years I people please and I overgive and I sacrifice, and 5 years later I say, great, I've given enough now. What do you think that relationship's going to go like? Do you think they're going to go, no problem? I have never benefited from your people pleasing and your overgiving and your over sacrificing. We're good now. No, that's going to require a conversation. That's going to require relationship adjustments. That relationship is going to require boundaries. That relationship's going to energetically change completely and it might even end.
It typically does.
It typically fucking. And so I'm just going to throw it out there, right? You let your boyfriend treat you like shit for years. And then you're like, and now I've worked hard enough. I would like to get this. So that's the same concept of if you start doing launches in this way, that is, you do all the things, you go all in. What are you building? What are you scaling? Like if you are building something with the future in mind, you would actually build a system as you go that could be rinse and repeat that your team could do in the future. Now that's healed hustle. Now that is saying, hey, I'm building something with legs. My life is not hustle. Hustle's a tool. Hustle is a tool. We've turned it into a lifestyle. When it starts to affect your health, your mental health, your emotional health, your family, or cause harm, at what fucking cost are you building something? At what fucking cost are you building something if it is causing you harm or hurting your health? That's the question of the day. Is it really worth having a successful launch? Then what? You go to the doctor.
In my experience, it's not.
You biohack, you adrenal fatigue, and you really think God, universe, source designed you to only be successful in a way that makes you ill? Of course, that's old programming. And so to me, I would put the effort into something, whether it's hard or whether it is in alignment. I want something that is a foundation for the rest of my life, something that I can look back and feel good on. I'm not going to have regret with. I'm not putting myself at the back and I'm enjoying every moment of my life. It's like I heard a guy talking about selling his company and one of my businesses I am building to sell. And he's like, I'm going to fucking grind it out for 5 years and then I'm going to sell it. Right. And that is what I would say most people would think to do, myself included. So I started building one of my businesses like that. And I literally had one of my coaches check me and she's like, look at you falling into old patterns. Do you really think you can't build this any other way? And like, what's the cost? And I know all this work. And I was like, well, I miss out on years of Strider's childhood. What if I fucking die in the middle of this? And that was my life. My mom's sick right now. What if I didn't spend time with her? I'm too busy building what? I'm building what? That I didn't spend time with her? My marriage would suffer, my health for what? And that's when you really if you're that connected to needing to produce and needing to make that much money, that's your trauma, not your highest self. That is a trauma response, not your highest self. When you heal that, you will not lose your ambition. That's what I thought. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in healing being like, I'm afraid I won't be ambitious. I'm afraid that I won't be dedicated. I'm afraid that I won't be all these things. I am the most ambitious person I know on the other side of my healing. And it comes straight from fucking source. It is like running through me. What's mine is mine and it's not going away. I don't need my trauma to get what God's got for me. I don't need that to be fueling me in my life. And I really asked for years, like, could something else fuel me? Could love fuel me? Could ease fuel me? Could that be just as inspiring as all of the hard, as all of the trauma? Could that be just as inspiring and motivating? Well, I'd like to see. I'd like to find out. And that's what we get to do in our life is I'd like to find out. And I think this is your life and you get to live it. And if you are not enjoying the process, you're missing out on your life. You're missing out on your life.
Online, so many people are seeing, and it is wild. I don't know if it's just I'm more aware of it because I'm on the other side of it, or the universe is wanting to reflect to me the old Tiffany, like, don't go back here. Like, you don't like this. And I see people like one launch after the other. They're posting 3 to 5 times a day on 4 different platforms. More is more is more is more is more. Females, males, however anyone identifies. It is out of control. And do you think it's because it's like ramped up for some kind of reason right now? Or is it just that some of us are seeing it now?
It's your algorithm. My algorithm doesn't look like that. I think what you follow, the feed gives you more of. So I think part of that's your algorithm. I think I like algorithms because they remind me of manifestation and they remind me of our paradigms. And sometimes I get on the algorithm like baby goats, like weird shit. You know what I mean? Like you can get on the algorithm of whatever, but let's talk business here. Like you can get on the algorithm of fear. We can get on the algorithm of abundance. We can get on the algorithm of hustle. We can get on the algorithm of ease. So I always experiment. If I'm seeing a lot of things in my paradigm that are not expanding me, that are not showing me what's possible, I want to fuck with a different direction. I would like to follow, feed into, read, hear the codes in the direction I want to go. And I want to be in those rooms and spaces. And this includes what we visually consume, not just the rooms we're physically in. And so for me, I would start looking for a different algorithm.
I love this. I think that it's a warning sign too. I think it's showing me like, the shadow side. Like, hey,
of course it's there.
Right? Like, hey, don't go this way.
Yeah, girl boss algorithm. I asked Regina literally, I was like, do people even girl boss anymore? And she laughed at me and goes, oh my God.
And the spiritual world is out of control with it right now.
But she's laughing. She's like, oh my God, you are just living in your own little world. She goes, of course they do. So many people are girl bossing. And I was like, well, thank God, because I want them to read my book. And I didn't know if we were all over that. If we had like,
I mean, I'm over it, but I'm seeing it and I'm seeing it because it's like there's something in me subconsciously still to look at. So I want you guys to look at what's in your algorithm. I also have like prison talk and giant chubby babies. So yeah, I do have, like, there are other things on there.
I have llamas. I think everything's possible. Is it possible that people are making money with Evergreen? Yeah. Is it possible people are making money with retreats? Yeah. Is it possible people are making money selling products? Yeah. Like it's all possible. And I think at the end of the day, ease is alignment. Ease is self-trust. Ease is being connected to something greater than us. Ease is like being connected to ourself and living in our purpose. And when you do that, it's going to work. And that doesn't mean that it's going to, every launch you touch is going to work, guys. That doesn't mean it's not working. That's data and information that you need to tweak something, but it doesn't mean you're off your life's purpose. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but the fact that the launch didn't work doesn't always mean that. So I think if I do something easy for me, if I do it with ease, then I'm doing it with alignment. I know it's going to work. And I'm okay if that shit takes a little longer because that's what I want to scale. Like I'm growing Vitality Project right now. If I was at every single event, do I think I'd have more clients? Of course I would. I am not stupid. Of course I would. I'm not missing out on my son's life. I'm not going to travel that much. It's bad for my health. I'm okay if this takes 24 extra months to get exactly where I was going to go anyways and enjoy my life in the process. And I think that's a that's something you got to sit with. And if if you really are like, no, I'm willing to sacrifice my health and this and that to get somewhere, if that feels deeply in alignment with you and you understand the cost of that, go for it. But there's a lot of people who've done that and they're ready to get off the hamster wheel
And
and
they
they
might look good right now. Okay, I was one of these people.
do it for 10 years.
Right. I was one of these people. I just wasn't online because my first business was built like the more traditional way. But like people revered my ass, right? Like I was doing 2-a-days at the gym. I was on private jets, like, and I literally almost died. Like they might look really shiny, but their cells are dying.
And that's where I'm like, to me, sustainable and shiny are probably two different things. And I want to be in this. I want to change lives my whole life. And I hope I live a really long time. And I want to love what I fucking do my whole life. And I want it to be so fun that when I sell my company, you have to pay me so much goddamn money because I love it so much to make it make sense for me. And then I'll just do something else I love to do that's fun too. And that's how I want to spend my days. And I think, use hustle as a tool. It's a tool, guys. You can use it. I don't never hustle.
It's like the last mile, not that I run, but like the last mile of a race. You've
if
got
we
to
were to
dig
run,
real
yeah.
deep.
Yeah, there's times I do it, but like I'm not doing it. I know I call it the bumper rails. So I know my bumper rails when my health and my mood start to be impacted. We've gone too far. And I'm not going to lie to you, I can't hustle for more than a few weeks in a row. I do not have the energetic capacity to be an optimal, vital human and do that. And I would dare to say you don't either. You just are used to your life sucking more than you probably realize it sucks. And that's the truth. I didn't realize what it felt like to feel good, to be healthy, to have energy, to have focus, to have my brain clear. And you will go farther having those resources. And I think we are so stuck in the material and the masculine when we think just what we do equals money instead of how valuable your energy is when you're like you being A plus for only 3 one-on-one clients. You know this, you're an expensive high level coach. Like that's what's valuable. If you did it for 100 people, you'd be a shit coach. And so that's why you're expensive, is because you have to calibrate your energy to be so potent and so piercing for the few that get you. That's why I charge tens of thousands of dollars to stand on a stage. I don't say yes to every keynote. The ones I do are big stages, big dollars, or big impact. And so I think it's a recalibration of thinking about our energy being wide instead of deep, and really thinking about, our life. Do I just want to be everywhere all the time and serve everything? Or really like do what I'm meant to do, feel really good, be really present where I am when I am, and know that you can be provided for in that way.
It would be a shame if I didn't ask you as we're wrapping up about something that I call toxic ease fantasy marketing.
Oh God, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And it's been there even, since the beginning of time, right? Like lose weight easily, grow your hair 5 inches in 30 days. Like it's in literally every single industry, make money and I do nothing. And I want you to speak on that because that is not what her book, Show Me How Easy It Is. It is not rooted in that stuff at all. And I think you know that by the time you're like listening at this point in the episode. But I do want you to like make a clear difference because there's a lot of people who are coming out with, I even have a program, make more, work less.
Yeah.
Now you can tell with how I speak around it, it's not one of those fantasy marketing things, but there's a lot of books and courses and shit with like make easy money, easy passive income while you never work at all year.
Yeah. And that's where it gets hard, right? Is people are like, well, that's bullshit. And like for you, I haven't been in your course, but I know you through Regina so well. And I know and trust your work so much. And like your client results is you're probably teaching people how to systemize, how to automate, how to like do things that are rinse and repeat that are truly scalable CEO ways, or how to attract or nail down their messaging or whatever tools that they're going to use forever. And I think, the ease is a state, not a destination. My whole book is about a healing journey. It's about finding your center. It's about what is ease and building a relationship with it and starting to truly experiment with these different energies and things that have held you back in your life. And I think ease is something you can apply in anything you do. Ease is like you can work out and have it be easier. You can make more money. And so But I have found that it comes through healing work, it comes through personal development. And that doesn't mean that it's not painful. I share a quote in the beginning of my book. I talk about ease is not the absence of effort. Ease is a state in our body, in our nervous system. It's a frequency, it's a mindset. And the quote I love is a Buddha quote: pain is inevitable, but the suffering is optional. And that's it, my friends. That's it. Is painful things are going to happen. People are going to get sick. Traumatic things are going to happen to you. You're going to have challenges. The world's going to implode. Politics are going to be crazy. There's going to be a pandemic, apparently. All of these things are out of our control, and they're in our field. They're in our reality. They're in our human experience. What do we do with the pain? Do we see pain as a teacher? Do we allow it to bring us back into wisdom, to grow from it, to fortify us, to do something with it, to turn it into art, to turn it into purpose, to turn it into something beautiful? Or do we drag that shit out and suffer for as long as we can? And a lot of that is we don't know there's another way. So many people are suffering emotionally. Like, when I look on the internet or in my community, so many people don't even know that suffering emotionally is an option. They have never even been told that there's a way out to be more emotionally intelligent, to release, to heal, to feel, to actualize themselves in a better way. And so I think it's that permission slip to be more connected to our bodies. That's where ease lives. It's a state in your nervous system. And so this doesn't mean you read the book and now you understand ease. I'm going to teach you how to breathe. I'm going to teach you how to understand your mind, your coding, your technology, and you get to be the sovereign being that gets to do whatever you want with that information. And I hope that you experiment with it and you change a lot of lives because you were born to do something.
I love this. And I just want to acknowledge, healing and sending healing energy to your mom. But given that you just got that news and you're able to speak on the fact of, show me how easy it is, that's not really always an easy place to be when you get shocking news like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you saying to yourself right
Yeah.
now about that?
I feel really rooted and grounded actually. When I heard the news, I'm the one that told her she was sick. I already knew. I was like, you're sick and you're not okay. I've been helping my mom and my dad on their healing journey actually. I just guided my dad on psilocybin.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so I'm like, I've been doing a lot of internal, deep, deep family healing with my family. My mom has a lot of trauma and crazy, crazy life. So for me, my understanding of things like this is probably considered woo-woo for other people. I think her body's teaching her something and it's fucking yelling at her. And I think she hasn't been listening. And I've been trying to tell her, the universe has been trying to tell her, God's been trying to tell her, all of the symptoms have been trying to tell her. I have a deep understanding in my healing work of every single organ and it's connected to its trapped emotions in the body. So I showed her and mapped her kidneys are sick, her liver's sick, and obviously her colon. A lot of that's connected to grief and to anger. So I've been giving her somatic exercises. Obviously, she's getting colonoscopy and getting some blood work done and different things. My mom is very alternative as well. She's not going to do like chemo. She'll get the blood work and things done. We have a very spiritual perspective on these things. Not everyone sees it that way. And so she's really into herbs and natural healing and other things, but the emotional trauma work she will not step into until now. And so I was really clear with her. I was like, this is all this repressed anger. And like, if you do not feel it and heal it, you're not going to be here. And you've already known this. I've told her this many, many times. So I think it's her lesson to move through however she decides to move through. And I hope she moves through it and heals. And I hope I get to keep my mom as long as that's meant to be. But I think it's all here to teach her. And I get to learn a lot through that too. And so I've connected her with a lot of healers. I'm going to be helping her a lot because I know a lot about a lot of things in the health realm. So I've connected to a lot of people and doctors, but I feel very grounded. And I think it's a hard lesson and she needs to look in the fucking mirror. And I hope she does and go, I need to take my health seriously. She has ignored herself and her pain and her trauma her whole life. So, that might rub some people the wrong way hearing this on your podcast. That's my perspective on illness and sickness. And I think it's sad and unfortunate, but I think everything's here to teach us. That's what I think.
I agree with you. I mean, I had to be on death's door. I had to go to off myself
Yep.
in order for me to be awakened and push me to do things that I was not wanting to do. And then my greatest transformation and lessons are on the other side. And I wish it could happen another way. But when we're kind of like content or just a little uncomfortable, most of us don't make any major moves.
No, pain's a teacher. It really is. Pain is a teacher and it wakes us up. And that's where I'm like, with ease, I'm not saying you opt out of pain, but like when you listen, if she can be like, okay, Cancer, what are you teaching me? Okay, colon, what have I not been listening to? What anger have I not felt? Obviously, go to the doctors, get her help. But Derek was like that too. He had to literally attempt to off himself to really wake up. And it's like, that's a real deep, real thing to not want to be here, to not feel like you have the right to be here. And I have helped so many people who are really battling that feeling of wanting to be earthside all the time. And it can be deep medicine if you let it be. And I'm like, what's the alternative? Is you don't let it be deep medicine and it's even harder. It's already fucking hard enough. Like,
I agree. You
to me,
might going
I'm
through
like,
the pain is a much better route than trying to go around it. I
no, I'm like,
promise you.
everyone's like, well, that's not this. I'm like, well, you're going through it either way. So you might as well see it as a lesson and get the damn lesson. Like the cancer just doesn't go away. It doesn't, so
I
yeah.
love your perspective, and I really feel this was a dose of medicine that I know that everyone needed to hear, and whatever they took away from it. I took away a lot away from this conversation, which I'm not surprised by. And I see you're magical. I see you. I get it. I mean, I always got it, but now I really get it. Like you have a special gift, and I'm so happy that you do the work continually to be brave enough to put it out in the world, because I know how scary it is to do that repeatedly, and you get knocked down and then this happens and you have a high and you have a low and then you have twists and turns and you keep showing up. And thank God, because you just paid it forwards for so many people just in this like one conversation. So I just want you to know, like, I acknowledge you and I see you. And I'm so happy you came on the show and that I get to know you.
I received that and I feel the same about you and your work in the world. And thank you for having me in your space and your community. That's so sacred. And I hope I didn't trigger too many humans and they felt love and beauty.
If someone's triggered, your ass needed to get triggered. Okay. They're fine. You'll be fine. You're fine. Go to the show notes if you're not fine. There's something in there for you. Go get the pre-sale of her book, Ease is a State, Not a Destination. I'll also make sure I have her social media in there. It's Hey Elizabeth Faye. So that's easy to remember. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it on Instagram, TikTok, all the places.